This week on the programme, why no brand should be alienating the ever-growing youth market and how to make sure you're meeting this exceedingly important consumer segment in what is termed their needs space. Also celebrating 20 years of one of South Africa's leading advertising agencies, and a well-known ride-sharing platform makes a crucial human connection, all in a bid to honour their most complimented drivers. Now, with 50% of the South African population comprising under 24s, it's glaringly obvious, I would suggest to you, that no brand can afford to alienate this thing called the youth market. We also know that South Africa remains one of the most unequal societies in the world, and that our youth often counts under the poorest of the poor. So here's the question today. How do brands make sure that they meet the youth in their needs space? Let's turn now to Bongani Chikanda, Chief Executive Officer of HDI Youth Marketeers. A very warm welcome to you, Bongani. Interestingly, I want to start this conversation politically, if we can, with the economic freedom fighters. You say that brands need to resonate with a narrative. You go on to say that whether one agrees with the EFF's tactics or motives, the one thing this political party is getting right is that they advocate for youth interests. The party, you say, has been lauded for youthful reflection. In what way are they getting it right?
So, not to endorse their policies or anything like that. I think they tend to pick up on the narrative and they're quick off the pulse. If you take the situation that happened just before the ANC conference in December, where President Zuma announced free education. Now, the way that we look at it is that President Zuma was more appealing to the delegates of the ANC conference rather than the youth. That's why he made that kind of like a last call to arms. But then Julius Malema decided to take on the narrative in, I think it was end of December or early in January, where he said, actually, I will walk in with the youth and register for free education. And there was a response. You saw the queues in Limpopo and at UNISA. So what the EFF tends to do is they understand, especially for poor young people in South Africa, they understand their needs and they tend to speak the language, whether they're able to deliver or not. I think they're able to. That's why you see that if you look at how the support has grown over the years since 2013, it's mainly youth that have voted for them.
You also talk about the acuity of young people, and you say that young people more than ever are aware of the importance of knowing what is happening in their social, political and economic realm. What's the brand lesson there for people who are wanting to reach this particular subset? Yeah,
so having worked on both client and agency side, I always battled with the fact that you get CMO and a lead creative at a brand agency, they go into the market, they go into a Soweto, for example, and it really drives me mad when people refer to Soweto as a township. And then they come up with an insight and they create a campaign around it and it flops. And
they don't understand why.
And they don't understand why. And the agency is fired and the brand goes out to repitch. What we believe in, and strongly so, is you need to understand and your brand needs to be within the youth culture. So we believe in that you need to understand the need state. So I'll take an example, Capitec, so the Viceroy issues aside. Capitec has been a brand that has understood what youth need. Give me the price of the account and everything else doesn't matter. And we even saw the response on Twitter when Viceroy published the report about Capitec being a loan shark. The youth actually don't care because for them it's about price. And Capitec has made that. And another brand that everybody complained when Mr. Whitey Person got his 100 million rand check, he actually did a great job in understanding the need state, not only on youth, but of consumers. I mean, when you think about it, that Shoprite has got meals that go for 5 rand. That's a one-coin purchase. You're able to get a roll and a drumstick, for example. So they do understand. They understand the economic times that we're in, and they're able to respond. So brands need to understand, rather than try and rescue, especially poor consumers, they need to meet them in their need state and facilitate a conversation.
And what brands can't do is to get it wrong. And you write about this thing called fake deep.
Yes.
Hashtag fake deep.
Yes.
What is that?
So the way that we look at it is in that a brand tends to want to lead the conversation. And an example, youth currently can see when somebody's endorsing a car brand or an alcohol brand, and they are in Cape Town on a yacht and drinking, and youth can see that. That's not your everyday life. So the influencers kind of, the celebrity influencers kind of dying a quick death, but more of a micro-influencer. So Fake Deep is more around looking at the fact that brands should not drive the narrative, but let consumers drive the narrative. And then you go into there with your brand and be part of the narrative.
And part of that is talking to what you say is the uniqueness of this market.
Yes.
How do you do that? Because what you're also saying is that every single person that you're talking to is different.
Yes. So we always, as much as people are unique, there's also human truths. So poverty in South Africa is a human truth, whereby a majority of our youth are unemployed. The fact that free education is a big issue. Those are human truths. So as much as they're unique individuals, there's certain similarities that you can apply to as a brand and tap into that human youth. So the way that we do it at HDI is we always try and find what's the human truth, what's the insight, what's driving the behavior, and then take the brand and locate it within that culture.
And part of that is something called content personalization.
Exactly.
Which is what?
So content personalization, we saw it done by Sunglass Hut very well at Joburg Fashion Week, whereby you'd get into a booth and you take a video and post it onto WhatsApp and share it. And what we find is that human beings do not want to be a number. It doesn't matter how poor or how rich you are. You always want to feel unique, although you want to participate in what the crowd is doing. So content personalization is around the fact that human beings, and youth in this specific instance, want to be in a place where they're able to customize their content linked to the brand and able to kind of market and be an ambassador of your brand.
Appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
Chikanda from HDI Youth Marketeers.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Coming up on Mags on Media, some eye-catching creative work from around the globe. And our campaign of the week delves deeper into the people behind the wheel of a big ride-sharing platform.